I drove up to my house after 2 hours, already tired from the long flight after 2 weeks away, take a plane from Vancouver. My mum I was with her through the worst of it when she had a stroke, by her side when things got bad. She was, thank God it's back to normal now, but I couldn't wait to get home to Margaret, my wife. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's early in life, and 2 weeks apart felt like always. The house had no light. That seemed odd to me. It was only 8 a.m. It was getting dark, and Margaret usually kept there are lights on in the living room. I went to and took my bag out of the trunk. Going to the front door to get my keys, I then heard a soft hitting. A rhythmic and urgent sound is coming from inside the house. My heart stopped. I pressed the key I got through the door even though the lock was broken. Now the sound was louder. Something hit the ground, and the voice was weak, hoarse and muffled. It was coming from the basement below. Quickly dropped off my bags and went to the lower door. It was locked with a heavy-duty lock on the outside. It was something I had never seen before. It got louder when it hit, even faster and louder. "Hi, Margaret," I yelled, and my hands were shaking as I looked to get the key out of the lock. Screams weak, they came from the other side. That's sad. My wife and I ran to the garage. I opened that lock with a hammer, 3 strong pulls. When the door flew open, the smell hit me first. Bad smells like urine, sweat and poop. Taj turned on the light and it all fell apart. Margaret was near the bottom of the dirty, shaking stairs, her nightgown torn and dirty. She had a face that thin, and her lips are cracked and bleeding. She looked at me with eyes that at first didn't know who I was, a mix of fear and confusion in her using words. "Tom," her voice cracked. "Is that really you?" I felt bad. Up those steps in a flash and grabbed her into my arms. She was almost nothing. How long had she been here? Not having any water or food. "I'm here, dear, I'm here." "I have you." Tu took her upstairs while my mind was racing. Who did this? What took place to make this happen? Tu took my and put her on the couch, calling 911 while shaking their hands on the phone, thumbs up. While I was giving the address to the inn, the time I had to wait for the dispatcher, I looked around the house. Things didn't look the same. Things for the home had been moved. There were a lot of boxes there. I had never seen it before in the corner. Margaret didn't have her pillbox with her, the kitchen island. The people who work in emergency medicine was there right away. Even though they were checking, Margaret was very thirsty, so her vital signs were very low, not getting enough food and showing early signs of being too cold even, though it was September. I stood there in shock, trying to figure out what was going on, what had happened. "Mister, when did you last see your wife?" one of the paramedics asked. "I've been gone for 2 weeks. She had our daughter with her. Jennifer was supposed to stay with her while I was in Vancouver. My mother had a stroke and I broke my voice." "Did Jennifer do this?" She and the EMT looked at each other, partner, but they didn't say anything. "She was put on a bed, and I went with her. She held her hand tight in the car. I told her I was safe and that she was now. I'm sorry I left her. Michael's hospital across the street right away." A nurse took me aside while the doctors were at work. "Mr. Holloway, I need to know if you locked up your wife. During those 2 weeks in that basement," I asked, "were you gone?" "A train that moves goods, 14 days. My Margaret being locked up in that cold, dark basement for 2 weeks. I whispered, "I don't know, that's how I found her." After an hour, the cops showed up. "Officer Morrison from the Toronto Police, yes, there is an elder abuse unit. Of course, there is a measurement for this. Had to wait in the hospital waiting room, and I told him everything. My name is Thomas Holloway. I'm 65 years old and don't work anymore in building engineering, and my wife is Margaret, is 63 years old. She was told she had early. They learned 2 years ago that they had early onset Alzheimer's. She is moving slowly, but she can still do a schedule, and notes can help you with most things. She knows us all, daughter doesn't get it. She sometimes forgets where she put things, can't keep track of time. Our daughter, she is 38 years old and works as a CPA at a small to medium-sized business in the middle of Toronto. She married Kyle 3 years ago. Kyle calls her. He says he's a business expert, but I don't believe it. I never really got what he does, and he talks about it all the time. Currencies, NFTs, and ways to make money without doing anything streams. To be honest, I never liked him. To be honest. But Jennifer looked happy, and that was important. There was a stroke in Vancouver where my mother lives, my scared sister. Called me at 3 cast. I booked a seat on the first flight in the E. Morning. Out. Jennifer offered to help in an instant. Go stay with Margaret while I'm away. Dad, don't worry about anything. She'll be fine. I'll take care of Mom, she said. I was glad she told me to focus on Grandma, even calm down. Jennifer knew about her. She knew where all of her mother's habits were kept, knew where the medicines were and how to use them, the confusion and the setting of the sun with being sick. So I called every day by way of Vancouver. The first week, Jen said, "Mom's fine, Dad. I'm seeing her favorite TV shows. Don't worry." So I'm making sure she eats. Yet after 2 weeks, the call stopped. "Leave a message," she texted instead. "Sorry, I'm busy with my mom." "She's okay. Please call me back," she said. "See you later," but she never called me back. I tried to talk to Margaret in person, but the phone went straight to voicemail. Jen had it. He said it was fine, I am in charge. My mom needs me did not leave Vancouver. Detective Morrison during this whole process. I took notes. Then he asked the question that made me think. The blood ran cold, Mr. Holloway. While did you give your kid should be able to handle your... What about the business your wife runs? No way. Does your wife have any papers that say do you know? Not that I know of. Why? He put down his notebook. We need to look at this more, Mr. Holloway. You know that. It looks like this is more than just don't worry. We'll get back to you. Was in the hospital for 3 days. They gave her water and medicine for hunger and being outside, and ran a bunch of tests. She kept asking where Jenny was. Where is Jenny? The child was just right here. She was making me lunch. She wasn't, honey. On the 2nd, the next day, I went while Margaret was sleeping. I went home to take a better look around, had to know what went on. I felt very sick when I saw what I did. A padlock was on the door to the basement, the outside. There was a bucket in the that's what Margaret had used Asa bathroom. A soft blanket on the ground. No food or drink. The light bulb had been taken out of the plug. Wife who forgets what day it is sometimes is, but who can't still find fun in silly things. Likes to tell jokes and watch the Blue Jays. After being in the dark for 2 weeks. Upstairs I saw more scary things. Jen's laptop was still on. Which was proof. The kitchen table made it easy to find the password. I'm not pleased with what I did next. I did look through her files, though what I found was nasty, planned, and organized. There were scanned papers and power of signing papers for an attorney by Margaret Sign, land papers, and bank paper sentences, and a file named Kyle's Fund is a chance to make money. Read through for an hour everything. And my hands were shaking so badly it was hard to click the mouse. What they did. The first week Maggie had been taken by Jennifer to AA Notary Public in the lawyer's office, who seemed sketchy Scarborough, not our lawyer. She would have got Margaret to sign the POA papers, using due to her Alzheimer's making it hard to get her to agree. It was just papers for her dad. It looks like the agent didn't want to know much. Questions. Margaret put her name down, not very steady, but clear. With that POA, our bank accounts were hacked by Jennifer. She took $75,000 from our savings, money that we had careful saved for care for Margaret in the future as her Alzheimer's got worse. And she also took use to get a home equity line of credit. We paid $100,000 more for our house. We had lived in our home in Leslieville 20 years in a row. Now we owed the send $100,000 to the bank. That much cash. $475,000 sent to a place called 3 Places, Thornhill Capital Management. After a few clicks, I learned that Kyle was the owner of the company Thornhill Capital. Registered a company with a number not long ago, about 6 months ago. It's Bitcoin for business, giving advice on business and blockchain. In another way to say this is that Kyle was about a cryptocurrency plan and used the stress on my wife and my absence to pay for, but this is what made me. They couldn't stop making me sick. Margaret talked to me. If I had called, the Marge would have told me if I had gone to the house. Something was wrong. Even with her, she would know something was wrong if she had Alzheimer's. Wrong, so they had to keep her. Wait a minute. What did they do? They put her in the... I saw a text message exchange in the basement. Jen and Kyle from the first day 3. Kyle, she keeps crying because she wants you. Sorry, Dad. This isn't going to work out. It will be forgotten in a day. Having doubts is helpful. Kyle, what if someone checks on her? Hey, Jennifer, who? Dad's in. The friends of Mom haven't come over yet in Vancouver. Because of her health for a few months. We're fine. They planned for this. On purpose locked a confused, weak woman in a basement to kill her. I talked to Morrison, the detective, and saved money. He came to the house right away with, "There are 2 more cops." I told them the notebook, the papers, and everything else, the notes. The state of the Morrison said Mr. Holloway was in the basement. With care. This is hurting the old people, using people illegally and for money being locked up. We need your wife speak out when she can, but there's more than enough here to charge. I asked, "Where is my daughter now?" "We don't know yet. Do you have an address?" For her, I did. Kyle and Jennifer lived in a Liberty Village apartment that's about 20 several minutes away. Detective Morrison did her when you called. The police were there in an hour, sent to their home address. Weren't there. But what the police found in that house would lead to something even worse, extra costs. The place was there was no furniture or anything else there, cleaned out, but thrown away, is where they found dirty cops' bank. Records and one-way forms, airplane tickets to Portugal, and a paper, email from a company that takes care of buildings they were in Lisbon for about 6 months. They were going to run away, get the money. Can't go somewhere there aren't any deals on how to send people back for money crimes. But they left too much proof behind. They didn't think about how soon I'd be back. My mom is getting better, was faster than I thought it would be, and going home 3 days early than planned. I had a plan. If I had stayed in Vancouver for the whole 2 weeks as planned, Margaret, that basement was a dangerous place to be. Kyle and Jennifer would have found her body, showed that she was sad daughter, and flew to Lisbon. Detective, before anyone can ask, Morrison made it very clear. Your wife's life was saved by your return, being aware that my daughter, the small girl I taught how to ride a bike and wept in my arms as her pet died when she was 7, she was ready to. She let her own mom die for money, couldn't handle it, so they started looking for the man. The cops in Toronto issued warrants for Kyle and Jennifer. The looks on their faces in less than 2 days. Daughter and it was the son-in-law's plan to report elder abuse. The press had a great time. My cell phone could not be turned off. Reporters, people I used to work with and nearby, getting in touch. I didn't pay attention. Margaret got the most attention, but she was let go from the hospital on the 4th day. Not strong, but getting stronger. She wasn't sure what to think, though, asked over and over where Jennifer was. She would ask, "Are you coming over for dinner?" "Oh no, not tonight." Did I do it? What went wrong? Why won't she come over? How do you tell someone who has Alzheimer's, because their daughter, has it that the woman she gave birth to was a monster, locked her up with the people she loved and raised at a basement where they could steal from her? I was unable to do it. So I held her hand, and "I'm free, Jenny." "But Jenny is busy right now." I said, "I'm not going anywhere." On the 6th day, Jennifer and Kyle were arrested at We fly out of Pearson Airport. They tried to get on their very first flight to London, take a break, then go to Portugal. They were stopped at the border, right away. Morrison, the detective, called in an hour. "We have them, they are locked up." I didn't feel anything. No, there is no pleasure, only relief. The charges were strong. 2 charges of adult abuse and 2 felonies of taking someone else's money without permission person, with 2 charges of 2 counts of theft and jail time over $5,000, and 1 count of fraud are linked. The files for the POA. Kyle had to deal with other charges connected to this was a financial fund that turned out to be, wow, what a shock. A plan like a Ponzi scam. He had taken to get more money from at least 30 more partners, everyone who is old or weak, promising returns of 40% on digital cash agreements that never happened. Pretty much moving money around and making payments. Investors of all ages get money from new investors. A clear case of lying. Who works for the Crown? A smart woman was given the job. Lisa Chen and I met a week ago after being caught. She put out the in-depth case. "My name is Mr. Holloway, the worst case of elder abuse ever. A few cases I've worked on. The getting organized and making the most of his wife's mental state. The how much money they waste. This is important. We want to get the most language." "How long?" I asked. "Last a mix of abuse and illegal confinement with using money wrongly. With Jen will have to wait between 8 and 12 years, 10 to 15 for Kyle because of the more claims of scams." And the money, Patricia's face became calm. "It is going to be hard. Kyle's cash is broke. There is no more money because it has been spent, went out of the country or paid too early. People who can help the plan stay alive. We'll go after courts for compensation, but we want you to be honest about how you're doing. To put it another way, the $175,000 was leaving. Our money saved and how much our house is worth went missing in Kyle's crypto scam. I asked the question that had been following me around. Did she understand? Hi, Jennifer, what did she know that what Kyle was doing was wrong? Patricia took out the file with the proof and opened it. Based on the texts and emails we found, she did know that much. She helped him hire new people. She had partners, 2 of whom were the people she worked with at her CPA company. She made fake claims about their finances for the cash. She did a lot of things. She didn't hurt my kid, his husband's plan. She had a partner in crime. The hearing for bail was it hurt. Jennifer's lawyer made the case for free while awaiting trial. No crime record, neighborhood ties, and low flight, it's a risk, even though it's France. The Crown didn't say that. Clear to fly risk, destroying proof, and kept Janet is in danger. The judge agreed with the Crown. Bail turned down the offer. Liz and Jennifer Kyle was going to stay in jail at the while, at the Toronto South Detention Center Trail. That hearing happened in front of me. I sat down and I was in the back, and saw my daughter in someone in an orange jumpsuit beg the judge to help them to get away with it. She cried. She felt bad about what she did. She said she was very wrong. When she saw me, she tried to say something. Dad, please. I stood up and left. I did not see her. There was more to the crime case, but I wasn't willing to wait for justice from just the courts. I hired a lawyer. Chris Walsh works as a partner in a law company that deals with estate and elder Lauer lawsuit. It was clear what he meant. Thomas, you should file a legal suit, a lawsuit. You should sue them for everything they did wrong, taken along with money to make up for what they did, Margaret, all the way. Even if they don't, they may have assets now, but not in the going forward. Things like land, money, and gifts, put it away. I went to court 2 weeks ago. Soon. Kyle Holloway and Jennifer Holloway, the people accused of Morrison, say they are financially intentional hurt by taking advantage of tension caused by feelings. Violation of conversion of $175,000 in fines, for breach of duty of care $200,000 in stolen money, and more money for Margaret's pain. But there was still more to do. I talked to the College of CPAs of Ontario. Jennifer made use of her proof that you are qualified as an accountant. Give Kyle's plan some weight. Other people who worked with her at the accounting firm had she was trusted to make good decisions. She broke all of her morals. Work. I sent in a formal report. Her CPA license will be ready in 1 month. Did not happen until the end of the being tried for a crime. She would be found guilty if she was. They will never be able to practice law again. She would never work as a bookkeeper once more. That should have felt good. It didn't, though. It felt had to. The following months were a blur. It gets worse for Margaret's Alzheimer's. Stress makes the loss of brain function happen faster, I was told by her neurosurgeon. She stopped, calling to ask about Jennifer, it was worse than the questions. It felt like in her mind, her daughter was no longer a way to stay safe. Someone did it for me, full-time caretaker, to help with Margaret while I dealt with the law, the proceedings. There were a lot of bills. How much medical care, court fees, and the Hellerlock has a debt that we need to pay didn't want. We were going down in terms of money, and the people in charge were in jail while they waited to be tried. In January, the first hearing took place. It had been 5 months since Margaret was saved. Bedside in court. I led the court through getting to Margaret by using the papers, by figuring out what they did. The lawyer for Jennifer tried to mock it, looked like she was a victim, and was also tricked by Kyle, who is hurt and wants money because she has issues with her own mental health. It was garbage, and the judge knew. When the judge called out Miss Holloway, you know how to be an accountant. You were very aware of what you were doing. You took advantage of the way your mother thought. Taking advantage of someone's weakness to make money, that doesn't make it okay to that. The case was sent to court case. The court date is June 8th, months after the terrible things began. Before the trial, something strange happened. Kyle's lawyer went to the event, Crown with a deal. Kyle would ask, take responsibility for all charges, and get helpfully ready to speak against Jennifer in for a shorter sentence. Say that Jennifer was Themaven, that she had everything planned out idea, which he had agreed with that. He threw his away since he was afraid to keep his own life. He threw his wife under the bus, but Patricia Chen called me to talk about. We have an if Kyle testifies, a good case against Jennifer. Both the testimony and the proof makes sure of a strong belief question. What do you think? Will he do time? I ask. Yes, we're giving 8 years with a chance to get out on parole after getting 2-3. He'll be locked up for at least 5 years. Most likely longer. Hey, Jennifer, she has to deal with, it's always possible for something bad to happen with. But if Kyle had testified, I thought you should push for 12 years. Regards to Margaret. Still sometimes asking, I wondered why Jenny doesn't call. I thought about those 2 weeks in the basement, about the house and the money that was lost. There is no longer any equity or trust. Take the I told Kyle deal. He admitted guilt February. The sentencing hearing was he was quick and said sorry. I know every word was written by his lawyer. Didn't think much of you. Mr. Morrison took part in a plan that went after old people who aren't strong. You. Even your own mother-in-law, Mo. Put getting money ahead of being nice to people. Fed jail for a year. Jennifer's court case began in June, during 3 weeks. The cap gave the proof, the POA fraud and the bank, the basement, the manuscripts and the moves getting ready to go on vacation to Portugal. Margaret was asked to speak. The worst day of my life. Seeing the confused and angry wife tries to explain what had taken place with her, getting lost and missing things, Jennifer asked her if she could go home. The lawyer used the confusion to try to get more work, say Margaret couldn't be trusted, witness, but the Crown did the video. The police had caught the underground the day they killed Theodore to look. That dark, cold place, the thin covering, the bucket, and the door had marks on it from where Margaret had she's trying to scratch her way out. They just stood there and looked. There were 2 of them. After that, Kyle spoke. He began by saying the whole plan. What Jennifer had she told him about the idea she looked into the POA law, and how she'd found the official who didn't want to know anything. How she set up the schedule depending on my trip to Vancouver. She was to blame, he said. I did everything she told me to do. Even if it was partly for their own good, there was proof for it. Jennifer's the laptop showed that she had been studying, having power of attorney, taking advantage of old people, and places that don't have transfer weeks before my mum had a stroke. Jennifer stood up for herself in her own defense. It didn't work at all. She tried to. She told us she was trying to help us. She had used Kyle. And he had the Crown never meant to hurt anyone, smashed her during cross-examination. Miss Holloway, you texted your husband or wife, she'll forget. Give it a day or 2. It's good to be puzzled. You talked about what did you want your mom to do? Have you forgotten? Be quiet. Miss Holloway, you locked your mum in the basement and couldn't get her out for 14 days without anything to eat or drink. You took her. You were going to run away from the country and you want this court to... Do you really think you never meant to hurt anyone? Jennifer lost it. The judge was not changed. I thought about it for 4 hours. It was said that they were guilty of everything. After months, I sent in a victim impact statement that is 5 pages long and goes into what this did to me and Margaret. How we'd lost not only our money, but also our safety and well-being. Mary tried to protect our family and trust, give her one too, but her Alzheimer's made it impossible. Instead, sent a letter that explained how the stress had sped her up, loss of thinking ability. The judge read through it all. After that, she looked at say hello to Jennifer. You are Miss Holloway. You are a smart, learned woman. Learned how weak your mom's health and you used it to your advantage without any guilt. You didn't hurt anyone, not just her faith, but also all of being kind to other people. This court doesn't see helpful things. Jennifer Holloway, you were sentenced to 12 years in jail by a federal court. I let out a breath. It was over, that's not true. The case was about after a month, Kyle and Jennifer got married. They were each in charge of $375,000. They don't have that much money. Of course, when the court looked ahead, they saw what could happen. If they have money, land or an inheritance, we'll get it if we ever need it. But we'll never see that in real life. The order to pay back the loan from we say they owe us $175,000 in the criminal case, interested. Best of luck again, getting the house back. We were able to make the helilock into our loan. We do have to make payments for the first time in 20 years. This will cost us money for all time. It is getting more expensive to take care of Margaret. It gets worse for her Alzheimer's. That's some of it, but not all of it. You might want to sell the house to have enough money in a few years to buy memory. Just take care. Jennifer is at Grand Valley, about an hour's drive from the lady's home west of Toronto. She'll be able to. Kyle has been free for 8 years. The jail at Joyceville has a medium level of security, almost in Kingston. He is free to go. I haven't been there in 5 years and I won't. I don't care about the visit. I no longer have a kid. People ask me about it. I wish I hadn't gone after the so many hard charges. I can if I want to. We're trying to figure it out as a family. This is what I think about 12 years. Jen locked her. So I told them. A basement where her mother was scared and confused for 2 weeks and took everything we had. Enough to take care of Margaret in her last years. She was going to let Margaret die and leave the country with the money. Did all of this on plan and knew it without any morals. 12 years isn't too long. It's not nice. Margaret doesn't see it as kindness. I sometimes forget where Jennifer is. She asks again and I tell her that Jennifer is going out of town to find work. It's not as hard as telling someone the truth who I won't remember the answer anyway. Last month, Margaret forgot who I was for the very first time. She looked at me closely and asked who I was and the reason I was at her house. Had only been an hour before she knew me again. But it has begun, the last thing to do. I think about that. There were times when Jennifer did not only your time and money, Mary and I had before we went. Alzheimer's took over her whole life. Those 2 weeks should have been used. They were together. But Margaret used them up. I just can't let go of that. You'll get the money back in due course. You can sell the house, but not for 2 weeks. And every day after that was taken by stress, fear, and trauma. To be clear, I don't feel bad about it's not fair that I do it again after 12 years. It's about getting back at someone. You have to take ownership and say it out loud. It's very clear that some things are not be able to forgive. My child learned that the hard way. I hope everyone who sees this story makes it easy to understand. It's very important that your family trusts you. Don't be shocked by what comes next. I'll break you back. Yes, Margaret, we are still here, still fighting, but still together. Is that all? Too much for Jennifer to want for us, and it's more than she'll have in 12 months, years, and to be honest, that's it. Justice that counts.